Sir, first the basic question. What happened? You had this unilateral ceasefire declared, of course, by the NDFP and also by the government. And all of a sudden, after this impression created that everything was going smoothly, at least based on the third round of talks, there was this announcement that the NPA was terminating the unilateral ceasefire. What happened?
Well, I wouldn't really say that it was all of a sudden. The NDF, the Communist Party, and the New People's Army have been issuing statements saying that the encroachments by the military and police, paramilitary forces of the government were really threatening the ceasefire. So it was coming. Of course, when exactly the announcement might be made, only the Communist Party and the NPA and the NDF would know.
So it was something that was brewing,
It
given
was-
the reasons that you cited.
Yes, it was brewing, and over the talks, as you would notice in the joint statement, one of the issues that was really raised was the problems with the ceasefire.
The government, of course, historically has been trying to push for a bilateral ceasefire while the talks are ongoing. Of course, on the part of the NDFP, the issue of releasing the political prisoners is very strong. It seems there's an impression that you remain in a tight deadlock regarding which should come first, declaration of a bilateral ceasefire or the release of political prisoners, because even before you sat down for the Rome talks, there was actually certain claims or reports on the part of the government that there might actually be releases before the resumption of talks in Rome.
Well, not claims, Christian, these were promises.
For assurances.
So assurances, and repeatedly since May. But as I told you the last time we had this interview, the statements change every now and then, so it's very difficult to pin down. As we said, the NDF has been very, I think, very patient, waiting for these releases. First promised in June, August, October,
Even December.
and even Christmas. Christmas, and you know, it's very sad because you can imagine how expectant and hopeful that political prisoners were
And their
that
families.
they would be released. Yes, and their families.
Now, how would this affect the ongoing peace talks? The unilateral ceasefire, as far as the NPA is concerned, will be terminated by February 10.
Yes.
There's, of course, the government says they would continue with their own unilateral ceasefire. Now, what would be the impact of this particular announcement on the ongoing peace talks?
Both parties have said, and the NDF, the CPP-NPA, even in its declaration, made it clear that the talks should continue despite the withdrawal or termination of the ceasefire. For the past 24 years, the government and the NDF has been negotiating most of the time without a ceasefire. And well, progress has been made, not as fast as people expect. But you had agreement on human rights and international humanitarian law.
The Caribbean.
Yes.
So it's not exact. It was actually a new paradigm to negotiate with an existing ceasefire, even if it's not a bilateral ceasefire.
Yes, we can say that. New paradigm, especially because the past 5 months we had indefinite unilateral ceasefires by both sides. This is unprecedented in the talks.
So even then, these are expressions of goodwill on the part of the government, of course, on the part of the NDFP, to declare unilateral ceasefires. But some people might be asking, how do you actually expect to come to certain agreements within the ambit of the peace talks when on the ground, government troops and the armed wing of the Communist Party of the Philippines are clashing?
Well, if there were no clashes, there would be no need for talks.
I mean, there was, of course, that's a given. But I mean, over the past few months or close to 6 months at least, there was no big clash that happened compared to before. So that was a welcome thing for the peace talks.
Until January 9 and January 21.
This was the Makilala incident?
January 9, it was not publicized, but a peace forum, it was being held in one of the Barrio Macupa in Compostela, was forcibly dispersed by the military. And then January 21 is the famous or infamous Makilala incident.
So, the issue of ceasefire and the release of political prisoners aside, based on what happened in Rome, what do you think was the biggest inroad achieved or achievement during the third round of talks, and when it comes to the joint statement?
Well, to sum it up, I think the prospects of reaching agreements in social and economic reforms and eventually in political and constitutional reforms are brighter now than ever. Both parties exceeded what targets they had set and exceeded, I think, even their expectations with what happened in Rome. There was an exchange of drafts, and looking at the CACER and NDF drafts, there was well, even for me, it was a surprising, so much common ground was set or seen that paves the way to accelerating the talks and reaching an agreement.
Which is good news, but of course I'm not sure whether you're at liberty to discuss in detail the respective drafts, but of course, can you give us a hint of, for example, one major sticking point?
Well, sticking point. There has been, first, what has been achieved. There has been agreement on the preamble and declaration of principles between the reciprocal committees. This still has to be forwarded to the panel. Also, there was a lot of discussion on basis, scope, and applicability. And even more important, on agrarian reform and rural development. And if you look at the joint statement, it says there that there was an agreement in principle on free distribution of land.
In the governing framework for the SCR?
Yes.
How important is that?
Well, first of all, both parties keep saying that social and economic reforms are the meat, the heart of the peace negotiations. And within that, land reform and national industrialization are two of the most important, if not the most important topics. So having an agreement on free distribution of land is like putting up a big, strong pillar, even if it's only in principle. Of course, negotiations are, by nature, you have to work out the details and the language and so on.
But was it difficult for both sides to come to this agreement to put free land distribution in the governing framework? Or was it not difficult?
Not this time, because it was in both drafts.
Oh.
Differently worded, maybe with some qualifications. That's why the phrase in principle was put there to sort of to enshrine the agreement.
So what was the wording included in the government draft? Free land distribution. What was the qualifier?
I'm not sure, as you said.
Okay.
Liberty.
I was about to say it. Anyway.
We can discuss the MDF draft, because the MDF draft has been or is going to be made public.
Yeah.
You will have to ask the government panel about their draft.
But you're not too far apart when it comes to the principle of free land distribution.
No, and not even on national industrialization.
Yeah, which is the second major point.
Yes.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think part of your original proposal was to industrialize more than 100 industries in the Philippines. Now, how was the reaction of the government panel when this was raised during the room talks?
It has not yet been touched.
The details?
Yes, in the room text, because they only, the reciprocal working committees only discuss the agrarian reform and agrarian reform and rural development.
But when it comes to, for example, by the time that you discuss this issue in greater detail, what are the reactions or perceptions that you've been hearing coming from the government side when it comes to the issue of national industrialization?
Well, just basing it on the draft, actually said, there's a lot of common ground. And I think in principle, there is no more disagreement over the need to industrialize.
So that explains the clear targets that are somehow laid out.
And that explains why I say that the prospects for reaching an agreement, maybe even within the year,
Within the year.
yes, it's possible.
For Kasher.
For Kasser and shortly after even for constitutional and political reform.
To the PCR. Wow. So that's quite fast.
Exactly. That's what I mean when I say more than what we had expected. I think either party feels the same, both parties.
So in short, basically, you have this issue with the non-release of political prisoners and the issue of bilateral ceasefire. That's on the side. Of course, it's a bigger issue. But the talks are ongoing when it comes to the substantive agenda.
Yes,
Which is more important.
that's right. And even with respect to release and ceasefire, I think it is mentioned in the statement, the joint statement, that the two parties are meeting this month, later this month, to discuss the ceasefire.
To thresh out details or issues regarding the ceasefire.
Just to go on with the discussion.
Okay. Now, finally, I'm curious about the how the NDFP panel raised the issue of the Marcos burial during the talks, because that was mentioned. And the reaction of the government was that it was not meant to rehabilitate politically the Marcoses. But how strongly did you raise that issue, and how strong or passive the reaction of the government panel was?
It was up front. It was the first item on the agenda because it is part of the agenda on compliance with CARIL, the Agreement on Human Rights and International Humanitarian Law. And specifically mentioning that the apparent rehabilitation of Marcos, dictator Marcos, was raised as a question because it was very clear in the CARIL that the two parties considered the Marcos dictatorship as a national tragedy, and there was a clear provision that all repressive decrees during the Marcos period should be reviewed and repealed. So these 2 points, the rehabilitation and the repeal of the repressive decrees, were mentioned at the first hour of the former.
So what was the reaction of the government panel?
Well, the government panel, as stated in the statement, said they affirmed their compliance and their recognition of the CARIL as a valid and effective agreement, to which they are complying fully, and if there are any problems, then this can be fleshed out over the negotiation.
But in the meantime, Marcos is ready.
Well, yes.
That's the sentiment of those who are against the better, of course.
Of course. Yes.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us this morning, sir.
Thank you
Good to
very
talk to
much,
again.
Christian, for your discussion.
Coming up, an immigration expert.